Good morning, tribe. My name is Lamont Gilchrist. I made a video yesterday that had some terrible lighting and some other different things going on in the background. So I'm just going to reiterate what it was that I made in the previous video, where I was discussing hemoglobin, bone density, red blood cells, neurotransmitters, and health in indigenous and other races when it comes to markers and understanding health markers and health situations. I'm going to start off by saying a lot of this research has been known since at least the 1960s, 1970s. They have known that the hemoglobin or blood types or the bone marrow or blood in general was different amongst the ethnicities and the races. That also meant that the amount of minerals, vitamins, the way that you view health, preventative, health care, medicine, and other aspects of health was considerably different. And the way that you set standards for these interactions was considerably different. But the problem is that when you have a ruling class that is just focused on themselves when it comes to health and health standards, then you will also see that whoever don't fit into that category is neglected at a high rate, and a lot of different issues, if not on purpose, for sure, by the sheer fact of the selfishness of the ruling class, just to view health or nutrition or medicine only from their perspective and not from a humanity or mankind's perspective. And I use the two words humanity and mankind because they're two different origins, two different species, races. Mankind is just what it is. Mankind, kind of like man, different phenomelanin, different principles, different properties, crossbred, believe, with some other different indigenous subhuman species throughout history. And then you talk about human, you talk about the original man in itself, conscious man, thinking man, developing the arts, math, looking at the stars, pondering thought, conscious thought, creating tools. So that is a separation. Of course, mankind and humans have come to evolve so that they can interact, interbreed, and actually communicate with each other. But there are still certain universal principles and property that separate them because of the very development or the very existence or creation of humans and mankind. So, not to sound like a separatist, but I'm just a realist and listening to a lot of wiser and people who have done research for years and years to decipher this stuff so that we can have accurate information. Because what you have to understand, history, medicine, the arts, to some degree, almost everything is being taught from just a one-sided perspective, especially if you live here in the United States and you don't get to see things abroad, or you don't follow people, or you don't research abroad. And then if you just look at the education system, pass, fail, then you're going to be left behind, because to educate someone is to get them to think in a consistent way with the masses. So you can say, this is our collective thought. This is the collective way that we're moving. This is the collective way that we're putting our mental energy into this understanding. And then the masses move together, and then people who may know the truth, people who may feel different about the information that is being shared, people who may have a higher level of consciousness and can see a higher plane of the information and where the problems are ostracized and put to the side and demonized for sharing different views, beliefs, and understandings, which, and a lot of times, when they come back to it, it actually becomes correct. You know, you could use your guy King James or the King James version of the scriptures that they use, how it was ostracized, and then they come back to it, even though they have other different interpretations and manipulations of it. So back to hemoglobin, bone density, bone marrow, neurotransmitters, melanin. All these things are very important. Like I said, I follow, and I've been researching for a long time, even before I realized I was researching. And what makes my research and what makes my approach to the science and to the arts of human evolution health is that I can look at it from a perspective of high intensity, the highest level sports performance and response, instant response and recovery from your body. So the things that I do, I can test to myself, my athletes, to see if we're recovering fast enough, to see what is the process as far as like, are we getting the responses that we want? Are we able to put the energy out that we want? I can actually quantify and measure the outcomes of what it is that I do and my athletes do by all the different metrics and measuring metrics, but also by performance metrics. So that's what makes my understanding and my approach to this holistic health thing so unique, is that I can actually see it happening in real time. For a lot of races, situations, and evolution, it had to take some casualties, some losses. It had to take a certain period of time for people to make the adaptations before you can make those assumptions or come to those conclusions or actually see if it's actually working. In my case, it's a lot more instant. It's a lot more knowledge that I can collect as it is in the presence that a lot of people can't do, because it is, I know what it is that I'm looking for. I know what it is that I'm looking for in performance when it comes to athletes, when it comes to body composition, when it comes to percent body fat, when it comes to recovery, health, bowel movements, overall everything. So that's what makes it very unique and very in-depth as far as my research and what it is that I do. And this is how all the other arts and all the other sciences, with all the other great scientists, doctors, and people that I follow, that sometimes agree and sometimes disagree. And sometimes I agree with them and sometimes I disagree with them, because once again, what it is that I'm utilizing human evolutionary health for is a little bit different than what they're utilizing it for. I'm utilizing it for sports performance and longevity. And so I have a big client and research test groups that I've been working with for the last 15, 20 years. So if you want more information, I just wanted to kind of clarify the video that I shot yesterday. It was kind of, unplanned. The lighting was terrible. And I hope that you received the information and wasn't distracted by it. You couldn't see my face and other things and stuff like that. So I reshot the video to just kind of reiterate and drive home the things that I was saying on the previous videos about understanding that different people, because of different hemoglobin, because of different bone density, because of different bone marrow, because of the difference in melanocytes, which are the three most widely funded and studied parts of biology, is different, then we need to understand the approach that we may need to take for our own general health and the health of our loved ones. My name is Lamont Gilchrist, IFBBLG9 on Instagram. Go and follow me. If you see my Patreon link, you can link to my Patreon, like some of the videos, support the cause. I like to be able to, at some point, be self-funded so that I can continue my research, travel if I need to, get books and stuff that I need to continue this research, and give young people workout scholarships so that if they're not financially able in their family, I can train them and they cannot be left behind as far as getting the the up-to-date scientific training methods, information that will propel them not only for their own personal health, but they'll be able to share that information with their loved ones. A lot of them are able to get scholarships and go on and play collegiate sports and further their education. So that's what I'm interested in doing. That's why I set up my Patreon. Those are the projects that I'm working on right now. Have a great day.